Chris Beaver. Today is December the 15th, 2022. This field was sprayed with carbon 375 on November the 3rd of 2022, so it's been close to 6 weeks. We went out right out here and we dug the first sample of wheat, and we're going to take a measurement of the roots and kind of take a look at the plants, and then we're going to get another sample over here, and then we're going to fly a drone over the fields that's been sprayed. The first 300 yards it was sprayed with carbon 375. Next 200 wasn't. The next 200 was, and kind of alternated until he ran out. So we'll fly a drone over this big field and just kind of take a look at what it looks like. Yeah, we're within 100 yards right here. 300 is going to be probably up there by that fence line or that ditch. So anything right in here has been sprayed. I mean, that looks good. That looks even thicker right over there. I'm going to go back over here and look at the plant we just dug up. I'm just looking at this plant. I've got a few long tap roots down there, and we're at about 6 inches. We got one here that's probably 2-3 inches longer. So we got a tap root down there that's probably 7 or 8 inches into the ground. We're going to kind of break up some of these. Let me see that. And just kind of look at what we got here. But we've got a lot of root structure, and that's one little clump, and that looks pretty good for a young plant. Got worms. So that plant's got roots all the way down 8 inches into the ground. So after 6 weeks, that's a pretty strong, healthy little clump there. One more sample there, Rodney. I want to just put that one in the bucket. We can undo it on that thing over there next to the other one. Definitely not as deep a roots. Oh. Held the water a lot better. And this is with carbon 375 all the way down to there, and there's without. Half the roots. Okay, so this is the 375, carbon 375. This is without. Got a lot more roots, same top structure. This got even more structure, more plants involved in the root structure. These have got more roots in them, a little longer. That's another with, that's without. Might get these home and put them in water, or some of this mud off. Without and with. Looks like probably close to twice as much root structure. I'm Chris Beaver. We did a carbon test, or test today on the carbon 375. We went and dug up some plants that we sprayed back in November the 3rd. Today's December the 15th. So these plants have been growing for about almost 6 weeks, give or take a few days. So the plants that have the carbon 375 on them, the root structure is bigger than the ones without, which is what I wanted to see. I wanted to see that the plants were actually doing better than without it. This proves to me that it's working. We'll go back in late March, early April, and do another dig and test the roots on the next, as the plants come out next year and start growing again.
My grandfather was a commodity row crop farmer, did corn and soybeans in the Carolinas. And I guess the story goes that a salesman had upset him one day, and he decided to make his own surfactant. And so that's kind of how the whole thing got started. That's how the story goes, at least. I wasn't there, but I got it passed down. The story was passed down through the generations. Now I make the product. My grandmother has given me the formula, and we make the product in Florida. We have enhanced it quite a bit with some different fatty acids, some different oils that we use. It's a much better product than what it started out as. Okay, so how does carbon 375 work in the plant? Okay, so carbon 375, as we know, is very systemic. It has a very small carbon particle size that's able to get inside the plant very, very easily. So I'm going to draw a picture of the plant. Let's just say this is a soybean plant. Okay, so we have our leaves, we have our meristem, we have our main stem, we have our soil, and then we have our root system. When carbon 375 is applied to the plant with via foliar spray, it's highly conductive to the plant leaf because it has, remember, it has a negative charge. So our carbon particle has a negative charge, highly conductive to the plant leaf, enters the plant leaf. The stomatal openings do not need to be open. It is very small and it's able to enter the plant right through the follicle. So it does not need to be sprayed in the morning when the stomata is open. It can be sprayed any time of day. And in fact, the hotter, the better. So our carbon liquid enters the plant, makes its way through down with the meristem, and as it pulls itself with our negative charge, as it pulls itself through the leaf, it flushes the sugar, leaf sugars, from the leaf and pushes those down into that meristem, down into that stem, and out into the root system. And so this highway is called the phloem. It goes from the leaf to the root, and that's where the root system receives the sugars from the leaf to feed the biologicals through the root exudates. So we get a blast of root exudate, sugar and carbon out through the root system. And our biologicals, our mycorrhizal fungi and our beneficial bacteria here at the root system become much more attracted to the root. And as these mycorrhizal fungi, basically microscopic worms, come in, attract to the root system, they die. More mycorrhizal fungi come in, they digest those, and we get, if this is an up-close picture of a root, we get a really nice little compost area here around each root system, which is your rhizomaceous, is your rhizome, is your atmosphere around the root system. So without carbon 375, our rhizomes are typically a little smaller. With carbon 375, our rhizome areas are a little bit larger. And this digestive area, the plant is able to control the pH in this rhizosphere around each root system. So if your pH is an 8 out here in this rhizosphere, this plant is much more likely to control its own pH. You get much better uptake, you get much better water retention, a much cleaner root system. Your mycorrhizal fungi is the key to higher yields, healthier plants, and better water retention. And so when the carbon product begins to develop these more energized and more advanced rhizosphere, we get a nice return uptake back up through the xylem, and your xylem runs this way, back out onto the leaf, where in your xylem is going to pull moisture and nutrients back out to the leaf so that your leaf can take the sunlight, CO2, make chlorophyll, make more sugar. So this system, carbon 375, gets this dynamic working much better, much more efficiently, and ultimately your plants and your crops will have higher yields. One of the ways that we changed or enhanced the product from when Grandpa made it was we added a horticultural oil. That helps the product adhere to insects, unwanted things on that plant leaf that are not supposed to be there. We want to make sure that we clog those pores, those insect pores. Whatever that carbon doesn't do, the horticultural oil will do it for. I personally have used the product in my own lawn and ornamental business. I had a very large turf and ornamental business in Florida. So I've been using it for almost 20 years, and I was actually a sales rep before I actually started making it. So I understand all facets of the business. I understand what the farmer needs. I understand what the turf and ornamental guy needs. And I understand the way that the product's going to benefit them the most.